Located on 225 acres in Garden City, Long Island, Nassau Community College, a member of the State University of New York system, has close to 20,000 students attend the school each year. The college mascot is Leo the Lion, and these are his stories of the school's absolute best and brightest who have graduated over the past 50 plus years. So let's catch up together as the Alumni Association of Nassau Community College proudly presents Lion Tales on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Welcome to Lion Tales. My name is Dr. Lynnda Nadien, and I am a director on the board of the Alumni Association at Nassau Community College and a proud graduate. I am here to celebrate the successes of our alum, and together we will share stories that will inspire, uplift, and often amuse you. Each week, I will introduce you to alumni of Nassau Community College interested in sharing their experiences while attending the college and the secrets to their success. Look for many new and exciting events on the Alumni Association social media pages, Facebook, Instagram, and our webpage at ncc.edu/alumni. Or find me on Twitter at Dr. Lynnda Nadien. If you have any positive news you would like to share about alumni happenings, we would love to hear from you. So email us at ncc.edu/alumni. Today, I'd like to welcome to Lion Tales Nicole Serzanin, class of 2019. Nicole earned a bachelor's degree in English teaching and a master's in childhood education, students with disabilities, and worked for a few years in the field of education. Thus, realizing education was not her entire passion, she returned to Nassau Community College to pursue television and radio. Nicole was a volunteer at 90.3 WHPC, an intern at KTU, and this led to marketing and promotion as an iHeartRadio National Events team member. Welcome to Lion Tales, Nicole Serzanin, class of 2019.
Thank you so much.
So tell us about your decision way back when to attend Nassau Community College.
So actually my first time that I attended Nassau Community College was my sophomore year of college. And that was, I started 2010, 11. So like 2011, 2012 was my sophomore year that I came to Nassau for a full year. Then I decided to go back to my school, which was Springfield College in Massachusetts. I graduated from there with my degrees. And as you had mentioned earlier, I went into the teaching and education field for about 3.5, 4 years before I decided that wasn't what was going to fulfill me for the rest of my career.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we were speaking about the fact that, making a decision like that once you've completed a degree in education, how did you then say to yourself, wait a minute, this is something that I'm reconsidering?
Yeah, it was really hard, and it took a lot of internal conversation, and a lot of conversation with family, because you put so much time, effort, energy, money into college and a degree in a field that you really think you're going to basically spend the rest of your life doing. And when that realization comes that that's not the case, you question a lot of things, but it took some time. There was a point in time where I thought, hey, something will just fall in my lap and I'll be good. And I was quick to realize that was not the case.
And you knew, like, early on, I guess when you were younger, even before you finished high school, you did have sort of a yearning for radio and television. You had interest in it?
To be honest with you, as far as a job, no. Of course, I grew up watching TV and listened to radio, but I quite honestly didn't realize how many jobs you could potentially get in that field. Right. So I never really thought that would be something that I could do.
I guess people think it's just, acting, producing, or directing, or, the Academy Award type notion. But at the same time, it's all the behind the scenes and the production, and
there's so much,
and the creation of these shows that are being produced.
Totally.
And so when you were at Nassau, you were taking courses. What were some of the favorite courses that you did have in, let's say, radio and television?
So when I came back as a non-matriculated student, after I left the teaching field, I took courses in television production because that was my initial goal. there were courses, nothing really like fully, stuck out to me.
Yeah.
Until I took radio production. And even that was, not what you would think, but that led me to volunteer here at the radio station. And that is what really piqued my interest.
Yeah. And probably the interaction and the hands-on is so much more.
Oh, yes.
Than just kind of being in a course.
I always say, I really wish school was experiences, not sitting in a classroom, reading textbooks and doing worksheets. Like, I wish it was more experiences, because these experiences are what really allows people to understand what they want to do, because volunteering here at 90.3 allowed me to realize, like, okay, this is the path I want to take.
And then the reality too, because it's hands-on, you're in the studio, you're interacting with people that are in the field and know what they're doing, and then that you can watch them and sort of spread that wealth around.
Yeah, it's about learning, it's about growing, it's about networking, and that's literally the key to any success, I believe.
And who were some of the most memorable people at the sstation that kind of, encouraged you and guided you a little bit into this career?
110% Sean Novat. Like 110%.
He's our studio director.
Because I remember coming to him, just as an informational meeting, so to speak. I said to him, I'm interested in volunteering. I do not want to be on air. I want to be more behind the scenes. I really can't stand the sound of my voice. I guess that's a common thing with people. But at that point, I was very adamant about that. And Sean basically looked at me and laughed and was like, "You're going to be on air." And
if he says it, you believe it.
Totally. And he put me on air on the Nassau Morning Madhouse with about 3 or 4 other students. And the first day, I was like, this was so fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you become, just those experiences are, something that you're like, wait a minute, I really think that I can do this.
Right. Because I was, I walked in like, oh, this is going to be bad. I left like, that was so fun. I can't wait till next week.
Yeah. And then you start thinking in your mind how you can make it better. And you start to have that.
What can we talk about next week?
Yeah, the topic. And then the bit of confidence that comes with that, which I think that, anybody who's had a successful radio career is probably thinking that. And even now, let's say someone who's been on the air for 25 years, they're probably thinking, I want my show to be the best that it can be. So what do I do?
Absolutely. You're always working to be better.
So explain your current work with iHeartMedia and iHeartRadio.
Yeah. So currently I am on the national events team for iHeartMedia. And we are the team that basically produces all of the major tentpole events, and that would include the iHeartRadio Music Festival, the iHeartRadio Music Awards, the Jingle Ball Tour, iHeart Country Festival, and so much more. And then on a smaller scale, B2B events, which will happen outside of our headquarters, which is in Manhattan. Some events do happen at the headquarters, but we're just kind of involved with all of the production of it.
Yeah, and what are some things that go into the production? What are your tasks and or duties to produce?
Yeah, so right now I work very closely with the hospitality team of the national events and the artist relations team of national events. So with hospitality, we're in charge of basically putting together any in-venue party, any pre-party, any after-party for these events. And it sounds silly, but it's so important. But a big part of the job is ordering the napkins, ordering the cups, ordering the T-shirts for the staff, ordering the aprons, like ordering all the things that when you attend a party, you don't even think about.
Yeah.
The decor, the pillows, blankets, candles, like down to literally like a candle holder.
Right. And then also like color coordinating.
Yep.
Depending on what.
Decals, like the littlest things that when you go to a party, like I said, you don't even think about. Yeah. But now when you go to a party, hopefully you do think about that.
And then do you do giveaways and things at the event when people actually show up to the after parties?
So we don't do giveaways. That's not really the parties are basically for clients or talent. You know, we don't really do giveaways at the parties. I mean, it would depend on any sponsors that are there. I shouldn't say a flat
completely,
no,
yeah.
But it's not common that we do that.
And then do you get to choose a theme, or does the talent usually have an idea what they might want or their management might want?
We choose it completely. I work with two very talented ladies who have such a knack for detail and design, and some of the creations that they have come up with, I always thought I was creative.
Yeah.
And then when I started working with these two ladies, I was like, whew, I'm not creative at all. But no, like in my own way. But they are super creative when it comes to designing a space.
Yeah. And so that must be really something that you want to come off well, because you have all these people coming in to see it.
They work so hard on that. So when we're putting it together, you want everything to just be perfect.
Yeah. So as a female, you know, in the industry, you know, what are some obstacles that you faced, you know, if any?
I don't know, this might sound a little pretentious, but I really haven't faced that many obstacles. Mm-hmm. Now, don't get me wrong, I've worked with a lot of female colleagues who have told me stories, so I know that the struggle is out there.
Yeah.
Knock wood, I have not met those struggles,
and that's great,
yet, you know, and I hope I don't, because I hope we're evolving into a space where, you know, women are really coming into their own in this field.
And I think, you know, as hard workers and really trying to make something done in an artistic at an artistic level that's a high level, and also at a creative level, that everybody should be able to bring forth those talents, which is really, you know, something that I think the industry definitely needs that, because, you know, you may have a person that's really talented, but they're not getting looked at the way that they should, and then, you know, you wouldn't know. So it's important.
I work on an all-female team, aside from there's two men.
Yes.
And it's just so much positivity working on this team, because there's so much work that goes into it. I mean, we're one team, but we kind of branch off into 4 different like subgroups, so to speak. Yeah. And we all have our own world, but we all kind of collaborate to the same world too. And even outside of our team, you know, there's a lot of positivity and a lot of recognition from outside.
So if you had to describe your current position, what would you say is like the main driving factor?
It's super rewarding to see an idea that started on like a PowerPoint come to life at like Madison Square Garden.
Absolutely.
Or the Forum in LA. Like these major venues, you know. It's super cool.
Yeah. And how do you make the connections working with the people that are already working in these venues? Like you have security and you have maintenance, and you know, you have table setups and all of that. How do you coordinate all of that?
Well, security, maintenance, all of that, those are within the venue. So we have venue contacts that like my team would specifically work with. And then it's a whole lot of like chain reaction. Like I speak to this person who speaks to that person. You get the answer. That person speaks to this person who then speaks to me. So it's a lot of like middlemen situations. But we basically have one person at the venue that we talk to, one person for food and beverage that we talk to, and then they kind of just branch out into everything else.
So how has the industry kind of changed over the years? You know, we were talking a little while ago about pre-pandemic, and now we're in a post-pandemic. What do you think assists in maintaining the beauty of radio and television? You know, why do you think it's important to, you know, maintain that?
Radio in general just brings people together, like music, and that's what radio is based on. And even though I'm not in the field, I shouldn't say the field, even though I'm not like specifically working with music, I'm more like the events. We still do work with a lot of music talent, at these concerts. And when you're seeing the live there's something about a live performance that just really, I can't explain it. And I think anyone would kind of know what I'm talking about. I think we missed that so much during COVID.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because music, like I said, just brings people together. And when you're seeing it live, it's a different feeling than listening to it on the radio. But even listening to it on the radio is great. But as far as changes, there's a lot of changes that have happened since pre-pandemic. But I think we are gradually getting to a point where things are getting a bit more normal, like it was.
Yeah, so your production style, do you find that event planning relies heavily on having a style to bring it forth? What are some examples of that?
So style, yes, because I think it depends a lot on the venue that you're working with. Because, for instance, we work a lot with the Forum in LA, and the space that we use is very retro looking, very music based. The walls are lined with musicians. So when you're designing a space like that, you kind of want to go more like music genre, not really super like classy, but like there are venues that you're kind of more on the classy side and more neutral tones and more, I don't know specifically like color wise, but you're basing the style on the space that you're working.
You are listening to Lion Tales on the voice of Nassau Community College 90.3 WHPC. My name is Dr. Lynnda Nadien, and our guest today is Nicole Serzanin, proud NCC graduate, class of 2019. So when you're setting up a national event, what are some of the pressures?
Oh, gosh. There's so much pressure. For instance, in my world with hospitality, it's making sure everything that you've ordered arrives on time. The logos look good on the napkins or the cups or the drink stirs. Making sure the furniture rentals that you've had, come in on time. Making sure that nothing's broken, because that actually happened to us at Jingle Ball. One of the couches we ordered was broken. So
yeah, that can happen, I'm sure.
Totally. Like, you have to be prepared for anything. And, you're working against the clock, so we had to get a new couch right away. And thankfully, the rental company had another one, and we got it. And, sometimes you're not so lucky.
Yeah,
but,
absolutely.
It's just making sure everything in the space looks great and is, ready for the party.
Right. And, now we're competing with all these formats of social media. Mm-hmm. And are they assisting your work, or do you find that it's hard to have everything up and loaded on every single platform?
I think it's a huge help for us because we work with a lot of outside vendors. So when we're taking pictures, we're posting it, sharing our vendor, who helped us with the furniture. Like, we got this furniture from so-and-so, like, it looks beautiful, and we got these amazing cups from this vendor. Like, it's a really good way to show the people that we work with, because not just from our team, like the outside vendors that we work with, they work so hard to help us get this stuff in time.
Yeah, and the advertising is so great as far as, even anything you see on TikTok, because you click and you're like, ooh, you really do.
Yeah.
You want to buy it. And you have people saying, well, this is a great product, so try it.
Absolutely. And I mean, even to have pictures of an event that we, maybe did last year, to kind of look back and see, okay, how did we do this? How can we make this better? Like, that's super helpful.
Right. So when you were interning here at the radio station, did you ever expect that you would be now in a situation where, you're working for iHeart and you're doing this work that you found out that you loved after completing a totally different area of study?
Did I expect it? No.
Yeah.
Did I hope for it? 100%.
Yeah.
Totally.
That's great. We were talking about the fact that people don't realize, like, educators and education is really a lot of production and performance too. And you have to be able to, whatever the role is, teachers are up in front of large groups of students every day. And it's a lot of acting and performing and preparing and organizing. Did you feel that your educational background assisted you now? And could you tell us a little bit about how that made the connection for you?
Yeah. Now, it took me a while to understand that and realize that my skill set from teaching could overlap into radio. It took me a while, but I'm starting to see it more and more about, like you said, you're constantly center stage. You're dealing with so many different personalities too. And I'm not like referring to on-air personalities. I'm talking like people that you work with. Like, everyone is different.
Right.
So you have to know how to manage that. And as a teacher, you're working with 20 plus kids sometimes in a classroom, plus your colleagues. You have to learn how to manage that too. So that's a huge thing for me, especially when I was interning at KTU, because I was working more on the local level. And that's kind of where I learned how to manage different people and understand how to deal with certain people. And that has in turn helped me with this job now, because as I mentioned earlier, we're working with a lot of vendors outside, and some are more understanding than others, and some, are stricter with deadlines, and you kind of have to understand, like, okay, with this person, I need to work it this way, and with this person, I need to work it this way.
And so who has been your biggest inspiration as far as work? And, you did complete a degree. We were saying before that, once you're done with a degree, no matter what it's in, you still have degree in hand. So it is a huge accomplishment, especially now where, do you feel students should pursue some type of degree in any field?
I do. And I feel like whatever degree you decide to pursue, don't feel married to that degree. I mean, of course, if you find a job in that field that you got a degree in, like, more power to you, because the more and more I talk to people, the more and more I realize no one's really using the degree they got, because they're realizing other interests that they have and experiencing different pathways. And that's great too. But I do think a college degree is a good idea, because you have that to fall back on should anything change in your life, because life is constantly evolving.
Right, constantly. And so, again, we were talking about radio being such an amazing form of entertainment, and there's such an interest in it. We saw a big production, obviously, with Super Bowls and the Grammy Awards and all of these different shows that come up. What do you think when you watch these productions? What are some of your thoughts? Do you think they could do it better, or what would make it sort of like really appealing to the masses?
I mean, I guess it depends what production you're talking about. If we're going to talk about the Super Bowl last night with Rihanna, I think that production was insane. Yeah. Her basically floating on like a board. I don't know if it was a board, but we'll just call it a board.
Yeah. Some kind of like glass platform.
I mean, she's up in the air, singing. And I thought the production value of that was great. It was simple, but it was evolving, you know?
Yeah, and I think a lot of thought must have gone into it. I mean, and there was some, dangerous elements. It reminded me kind of like a Vegas show where everything's being lifted up into the air.
And then you've got the fireworks coming outside of the stadium, like that whole, I loved it.
Yeah. And I think, do you find as someone who's producing for certain events that do you kind of frame it out in your mind? Do you draw it out on paper? Do you make PowerPoints?
We use a program called Canva.
Yeah.
And that's super easy to make art. So one of the girls I work with, she comes up with the design build. That Canva is what she uses to basically make her ideas, put all her ideas into one space. And then that's just super easy because she could share it with other people. And if there's any adjustments that need to be made, I don't technically have to go to her. I can, go into the file and make the adjustment myself type of thing. So that's a huge win for us.
So going back to your inspiration, on a daily basis, what are some things that inspire you or people that are inspiring you to continue to pursue this line of work that you're in now? And how did Nassau kind of set you on that trajectory toward this?
Well, Nassau totally set me on this trajectory because if it wasn't for 90.3 WHPC and Sean,
the voice of Nassau Community College.
Yes, I forgot that. Sorry.
And our director, Sean. Yes.
I honestly wouldn't be where I am today because he really pushed me in the best way possible to apply for an internship with iHeart. And if I didn't do that, I wouldn't be where I am right now. And then going into iHeart, I'm working with some of the people that I grew up listening to. Like, I interned on the KTU morning show with Paul Covey Bryant and Carolina Bermudez.
Yeah.
I grew up listening to these people, and then Covey left and Greg T from Z100 came in, and he does the morning show with Carolina now. And it's those people that inspire me because I can't say it enough. I grew up with them and they're still here doing their thing. So the inspiration, the ambition to just constantly want to do better is evident in these people. And that just pushes me to want to do better too.
Have they given you advice as an intern?
Oh, yeah.
Because we always hear like negative stories about, I was interning and it wasn't a good experience and they didn't treat me well. And
my internship experience was the best.
That's great. That's great to hear.
Aside from the on-air personalities that I worked with at KTU, I had a really good advisor. She was the producer of the morning show. She let me dive into a lot of things. I wasn't just there to make copies or go get coffee. Like, I was editing things. I was involved. I, formed a relationship with the afternoon personality who I stayed with on certain days, and she taught me things. Like, I was learning, and they all gave me advice. And if I can sum that up into one thing, it would be just, and it sounds so cliche, but it's literally just keep going and follow your dream. Because I didn't know this was a dream, but it is.
Yeah.
That's
amazing to hear. You are listening to Lion Tales on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. My name is Dr. Lynnda Nadien, and our guest today is Nicole Serzanin, proud NCC graduate, class of 2019. I would like to thank our guest, Nicole Serzanin, proud graduate of class of 2019. And how can our listeners contact you?
So the only social media I have is Instagram, and that is literally my first and last name at Nicole Serzanin, Serzanin.
Thank you for being here, Nicole.
Thank you so much.
I would like to thank you for being our guest today. My name is Dr. Lynnda Nadien, and I serve as a director on the board of the Nassau Community College Alumni Association, and I'm a proud alum. Lion Tales is also available as a podcast on iTunes, Android Podcasts, and Spreaker. More information is online at nccradio.org. Thanks for listening to Lion Tales here on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.